Happy to be joined by UFC light heavyweight contender Johnny Walker, who takes on Anthony Smith in the main event on May 13th. Johnny, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. It seemed like this fight got announced like 2 weeks after your fight in Brazil. And I remember in the press conference, you kind of had ice on your hand. You said, just want to get ready in case I get a fight booked. So was that your intention? Did you tell the UFC, I want to get back in there right away?
Yeah, 100%. Just they offered me for March the fight, but it was too early. I needed a little bit more time to recover from my last fight, because my wrist was a little bit swollen because I punched Paul Greg have a really tough face. It hurts my wrist. So I need time because I can't go back to the company with inflammation on the body, so I'm gonna get worse injuries. So to take my time off a little bit to recover my body so I can start fresh on the company training.
So they offered you Anthony Smith in March?
Yes, and then I
Okay.
said I needed a bit more time, so we're going to May now. May is perfect
Okay.
time.
Yeah, cool. So it was always Anthony Smith. It was that like a main event as well, or were they going to put you on a
Yeah.
different card? Okay, cool. Well, before we talk about Anthony, let's talk about your last win over Paul Craig. You got to fight in Rio, I think, first time in the UFC. I think first time you fight in Rio, right? Which is where you were born, Craig.
Yeah, first time was really fun.
Yeah, and you got a kind of the wild and fun, entertaining type of finish we always expect from you. But it was an interesting one as well. You know, he was holding on to your leg, and you were kind of like punching him. Is that a scenario you even imagined in your head? Because I'm sure you knew he was going to try to wrestle you, right?
Not really. You can always make a good game plan and train for that kind of action that you think is gonna play, but fights can happen everything. So I never imagined I'm gonna knock him out on that position. He just hugged my leg because I did a little front kick, and I just punched from there. I was just, natural instinct. I just react of what he did, and just punch him and works. So I'm happy.
Were you surprised that you were able to have such power in a position like that where you're kind of balancing, but at the same time trying to punch him? Were you surprised you were able to put him out?
I'm not surprised, motherfucker.
Well, I mean, you've got a great highlight reel, so I think nothing surprises us from you. And you gave us a celebration, a modified worm. Is that how we're gonna do it from now on? Slow landing and then the
Or
worm.
very slowly, very safe because I hurt last time and have to keep myself fresh, because we already go through a lot of punishments on the training on the fight. So as much as we can save ourselves is better.
Of course. And
Safe
you're in
celebration.
Omaha, yeah, and you're in Omaha, Nebraska right now.
Yeah.
I believe I saw you training with Mick Doyle. How did that connection happen?
It was my coach is Irish and Mickey is Irish as well. So John Kavanagh and Mickey was old friends and they just was talking. They make the connection, and then my coach said if I wanna go and do some training here because Mickey is a former coach of Anthony Smith.
Yes.
And I said straight away, yeah, of course, let's go. And then I was flying the another day. I just booked my flights on Cam, and we have a pretty much really good week of training, a lot of knowledge. I record everything. I know how to improve so much stuff, and I learned some new stuff as well that I can put on my game. So I have a lot of things to work on.
And yeah, that was what I was going to ask you because, of course, Anthony Smith is from Omaha, Nebraska, and he did used to train with Mick. So was he able to kind of give you some insight on Anthony, or did you just kind of focus on sharpening your Muay Thai and stuff?
No, we're just training to beat Anthony.
So okay, so that was kind of part of the reason why you went out there to get good insight from somebody who knows Anthony pretty well.
Yeah, 100%. I have to get all of the toes on this game. When you get to the top 10 and on the high levels, top 5, whatever, championship, it's everything that you can do to bring the victory that you have to go behind because it's more mind game, now. And all of the little details, historic, and everything that you can add for bring that victory, I gonna do my best to do.
How long have you been there, and how long do you plan on staying there?
I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm be here for 2 weeks, and I pretty much learn loads. And of course, I have to keep practicing and repetition to make the perfection. but I have a pretty good idea of what he taught me, and I learned pretty quick as well. So I'm gonna just keep training, and I'm gonna keep that connection, on WhatsApp, and we can do like video calls, whatever, and I can keep showing my improvements along the weeks. I have a lot of time, and I'll be ready to put the show on.
I don't know if you can obviously reveal anything that he told you in terms of Anthony's game, but what do you feel like is the most thing maybe you learned from Mick in your 2 weeks with him?
Uh, I feel improvements so I can land a better elbows, better control for defense of takedowns as well. Then I can have my hand more active for punching and for attack. You know, instead I hold the wrist, hold it on the biceps, so I have my elbow free so I can punch back. A lot of smart moves, so I can be more offensive, and of course shoulders up, chin down, kind of shallow up, so I can be more protective as well. So I can be more uh, aggressive and offensive, and also protective as well. So it's pretty much really good for my game. That's all that I need.
And yeah, you mentioned takedown there. We got to see some of your ground game against Ion Kutalaba. You submitted him by a rear naked choke. And I know you have good grappling, you have good jiu-jitsu. It's just we haven't seen a lot of it in the UFC because obviously we've seen a lot of nice knockouts. So is that a part of your game that you've kind of maybe been revisiting and trying to implement more in your fights moving forward?
Of course, I've been training jiu-jitsu and grappling and wrestling for a long time, so I have pretty much good ground game and wrestling game, jiu-jitsu, grappling. But I like to knock people out, is where the money is as well. So but now it's time to win fights. So whatever takes to win the fight, I'm gonna do. If I have to take him down, I'm gonna do. If I have to isolate him, choke him out, I'm gonna do. But of course, we're always trying to finish the fight, and jiu-jitsu can finish the fight as well. So I never like to let the heifer decide the fight for me. Like you train so hard for so long, and you're gonna let other people that have nothing to do with your training, responsibility, decide the fight for you. No, I always try to finish the fight.
And we've seen kind of like you came into the UFC, you had a lot of momentum. We were talking about you as a title challenger. You had a bit of some setbacks, and now here you are back again. You get Anthony Smith, who's ranked number 5, so obviously a big fight for you. What would you kind of attribute to this change? Because it seems like you've kind of calmed down, maybe a more mature Johnny Walker, if I'm not mistaken. So it seems like you've kind of matured a lot in this process. So what would you attribute this change to?
Defeat. You always learn on defeat. Is experience, as well. Because as much experience you have, you get more comfortable. You understand more. You don't make the same mistakes again. Because I like to perform, not just on the octagon, but in life. I always try to be a better version of myself, not just for fighting, but for myself, in my life, as a human being, as a husband, as a friend, as a son. I try always to. I mean, addicted to perform, to improvement. I like to eat healthy, train, read, learn. So I get all of the mistake that I did, and I'm just not doing the same mistake anymore, and everything's getting better.
As your coach John Kavanagh says, you win or you learn. You talked about your improved. Obviously, you were revisiting your ground game. You always have those great knockouts. When you look at Anthony Smith, where do you feel like your path to victory is?
He's a pretty talented athlete as well. He fought Jones, he fought like very high level guys. I know he's a complete fighter, but I think the key for the victory is just I eat the Lionheart.
I like that. I like that a lot. And Anthony, he's coming off of a loss. He broke his ankle in that fight against Magomed Ankalaev. But before that, he was on a nice 3-fight winning streak. So where do you feel like Anthony is? Do you feel like, because it seemed like a pretty bad injury he was talking about it, and I was surprised to see him be a backup for that title fight and now getting back. So what kind of version of Anthony do you expect again?
Hopefully he bring the best version of himself, because I'm gonna bring the best that I can. I'm gonna prepare for the best version of Anthony Smith. You know, so hopefully he prepare good as well, because if not, it's gonna be a first round knockout or first round finish. And I wanna fight more. I wanna show everybody my game and see how good I am. Show everybody how good I am. So hopefully he's a tough fighter for me.
Where do you feel like a win over Anthony would put you in the division?
That's a little bit close to the title shot. Is everybody's goal, right? And hopefully I take his place on the rankings and I keep moving forward.
Yeah, because it seems like there's a bit of a logjam at light heavyweight. Obviously, after Yuri vacated, and now Jamal Hill, a former opponent of yours, is a world champion. We got Ankalaev and Blachowicz who fought to a draw, and then now we don't know if Jamal's going to fight Yuri or not. So you could, throw yourself in the mix very well, with a statement performance because there's a lot of kind of a mix up and guys who have already fought for the belt. So do you feel that way? This is an opportunity to throw yourself in the mix.
Yeah, 100%. I just finished Paul Greg on the first round. So the guy that fought 3 rounds against the last challenge title, like Ankalaev. Ankalaev fought three rounds with Paul Greg. Like I finished him on the first, and he finished Ankalaev, and then I finished him in the first round as well, and he finished the champion. Now that's Jamal. He finished Jamal in the first round. So I just finished the guy that I showed that I I can be there. So I'm on that level, So probably one more finish quickly in the first round is gonna be put me in a really good spot.
Yeah, and were you surprised to see Jamal become champion? What did you think of his fight with Glover Teixeira?
It was really tough fight. Teixeira is a tough bastard. The toughest bastard, oldest that I ever saw in my life is crazy. Thanks to God he retired. Like he did enough for the sport. I'm happy with his career. And yeah, the fight was crazy. Fucking so many rounds. And I don't think if I ever fight for the when I fight for the title or like a main event, the way that I train really hard. I committed myself every day with diets and recovery, sleep, everything like repetitions. I train really, really hard. So I'm really ready. Like I don't think nobody on this division can last more than 2 rounds with him because I really punch really hard. Like when I land punch, I hurt people, knock them out. So I I'm I'm thinking about my next few fights. I'm just gonna finish everybody in the first round because when I landed, I just shut them down, shut them off.
Yeah, and your fights have been pretty quick, but you've also been getting that experience. This is not your first main event now that you're going to be booked against in Anthony Smith. So are you happy? I mean, you've been on pay-per-view events, you're getting 5-round fights. Are you happy to be kind of being on these big stages and getting those experiences, even though you're not necessarily going the 25 minutes?
100%. I'm there to. Of course, I have pretty good card. I can fight 5 rounds easily, but I'm there to finish the fight on the first round every time. If it doesn't finish in the first, I'm gonna try to finish on the second, on the third, until the last fucking second. I'm gonna try to murder him.
And Jamal Hill seems like he's going to fight Yuri Prohaska next. Depends if Yuri Prohaska gets healthy in time. But if he does, how do you see that fight playing out?
I have no idea. Like in this level, these guys can do everything. Like I can surprise you with different punches and things that come from nowhere. Jamal is a really good athlete and Yuri Prohaska as well. So it's gonna be just a fun fight to watch. I don't like to predict and to say like this is gonna happen because I don't know. I don't train with them. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know how they get ready. How they prepare for the fight. So I have no idea what to say because every time people can do better, can do worse, and you never know what's gonna happen. This is the interesting on MMA because like as me, like I train really hard and I always gotta improve. Like if people do the same as me, fight you just get really excited because it's gonna be a really good fight to watch.
Yeah, and one more question before I let you go, and I appreciate your time. When Johnny Walker fights for the title, who does he want across him? Would it be like kind of poetic if it's Jamal Hill? Do you want it so you can kind of get 2-1 revenge and the belt, or who do you imagine yourself against?
Of course, I wanna fight against Jamal again. He's a good guy. I like him. He's fun, but I wasn't really ready for that fight on that time. So I wanna give him a proper fight. We just fought. We didn't finish the first round. So next time when I face him, it's gonna be different. And of course, if it's not him on the belt, I'm gonna face the champ. I wanna face the champ when it's time come. But I would like to fight him it will be really, really exciting for me.
For sure. Well, Johnny, I appreciate you doing this. Thank you for your time and best of luck on May 13 against Anthony
All
Smith.
right. Thank you very much.